Okay, hi, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Fifi Farisha binti Asmauli, and I'm going to present. I'm going to do a paper review on my two research paper regarding the traveling salesman problems and also the implementation of breadth search in order to solve the same problems. So my two research paper are the new approach to traveling salesman problems. This paper using the branch and bound methods with the case study of Domino's Pizza Center, and the second paper is a traveling salesman game for cost allocations, where this is um, regarding the bus service in Castellanza. So I'm just going straight into my first paper. So the objective of this first paper is where um, it requires the delivery man to deliver packages using the most efficient and the shortest route from the starting point, which is the distribution center, and he has to return back to the starting point after he delivered his last package. So this paper using the branch and bound methods and also two optimal methods in order to solve the problems. So as you can see on the left side of your screen right now, is that the map, where this is the map the delivery man's using in order to deliver all the packages in Jaipur, and the right side of the paper the author has put all the distance the distance of the journey by road in kilometers um, into these tables. So, going deep into these methods that are implemented in the paper, so the authors implement the branch and bound method and using these equations in order to find the total cost of reductions. So the first step to do with that is to minimum or to reduce the row and columns that contain the minimum value, and then the author use the cost matrix equation in order to get the cost of expanding, and then these two steps are repeated until there is no more unvisited nodes, and then the author has to scan and complete the traversal route. Okay, for the optimal method, this method is much more complicated, but this method provide a very clear and convincing way to prove why this kind or any required route is not suitable or is not the most efficient, because this method actually prove one by one, trying too many trials using too many trials in order to prove that each route or each point visited is the best, or to find the most efficient and shortest route. Hopefully I can explain this better in my technical paper. So as you can see, the step from starting from the step 2 until step 4, the method is repeatedly repeated. So this is where the solution is being generated. So next is the second paper. I'm going to go straight to the second paper, where the objective of this paper is to explore and to compare alternative criteria for allocating the cost of this service. And this paper using the method to solve the TSP problem, the author using the branch and bound methods, also using the salesman game with 3 and 4 players. Basically this paper exists because there is an issues between the bus service and also the agency, if I'm not mistaken, while I'm reading the paper. So this paper exists because to find a way to split the cost allocations. So this is why the paper is existing. So as you can see, before the implementations of the methods, these are the bus route. Um, and the stops that is where the bus service has to stop every time, but this is not the best or the shortest route that the bus person can um, drive along around the Castellanza. So for the research methodology of this paper, the author also implement the branch and bound methods, where in this method the author has two hypotheses that stated in the paper, which is to the variation to the route throughout the day are ignored, giving a unique route that touches all the stops, and also the total cost is simply given by the distance travels. So these two the hypothesis of the authors in order to implement the branch and bound methods. Next, the traveling salesperson game. This technique is much more complicated, and it takes more time to generate also, and um, it needs a deeper understanding in order to implement this technique. So the traveling salesperson game is basically you have to have a finite sets of players, where in this method we're using three and four players, where the cost of journey where s is equal is a subset of the numbers of players. Also, the traveling salesman person implementing three and four players approaches, where this three and the general idea of three and four players approaches, where it set initial starts and adding stops as the game progressing. So basically the idea is putting initial create an initial stops, or probably create an initial starts, and then the author adds another stops and connect each of the stops repeatedly, and then to see if and calculate each stops, each unvisited nodes, uh, calculate the distance and connect to the shortest distance. So this is how the three and four players approaches were implemented in this paper. So if I have to choose between between the first paper and the second paper, I'm choosing the first paper, where the title, the new approach to traveling salesman problem using the Dominus Pizza Center, where because this method that is showed by the author is much more clear, much more easy to understand, and much more straightforward. Plus, when the author actually um, offers or provide the two optimal method, uh, it gives me an idea to find or to understand each of the route implemented or suggested much more clearer, because you can see all the solutions there, and you can decide from the two optimal method uh, which route is the most efficient for for the delivery man. Um, so yep, this is why. So I'm choosing the first paper to implement, and I'm going to also use and to compare, and I'm going to compare the method used in the this first paper with the method that was assigned to me, which is the breadth search. So what I'm doing, I'm not showing what I've done uh, today in my presentation slides, but these are the things that I want to implement in my solution and code, in my solutions, of course. However, I only gotten um, probably probably two solutions in my coding. So what I'm going to do with my using my breadth search method is that I'm going to traverse the nodes or the points, and then to understand the levels I'm going to search for the levels and calculate the distant cost, and also I'm going to compare the operation count to calculate the complexity between the branch and bound methods, optimal method, and also the breakfast methods. So hopefully through this video, I would love to have opinion from professor and also my fellow friends. If you can suggest me the way you solving these problems, because I have a tough time handling this traversing, because uh, this is a quite straightforward task. However, this task requires a few other things to be solved. So thank you so much.